Greetings, fellow hunters. While our look at Supernatural Season 1 now continues on with bugs. Anyway, at a construction site in Oasis Plains, Oklahoma, the camera fades into construction men working on houses. Two men, Dustin and Travis, start talking about the houses and how expensive it'll be once the houses are finished. Dustin starts to hear and feel the ground shake a little. He feels around the ground and falls into a newly formed sinkhole. Travis rushes to the hole. Dustin screams that his ankle is broken, so Travis goes to find a rope. Underground, Dustin starts to hear more noises and notices that bugs are all around him. As Dustin calls for Travis again, Travis runs and brings a rope to him only to find Dustin dead in the ground. Ugh. Outside a bar, Sam is reading a paper about the mysterious death as Dean comes to Sam with money in his hand. Dean hustled money by playing pool. Dean said he would rather take a fun and easy way rather than an honest way of making money. Sam then brings up the article about how he read how Dustin died due to Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, or CJD, known as the hemophilia mad cow disease. Dean confesses that he's only heard of it on Oprah, to which Sam asks, "You watch Oprah?" Dean wonders why it'd be their problem. Sam explains to Dean about CJD and how the symptoms don't match. Dustin would have been displaying symptoms of it for months or years before dying of it. Dean and Sam then drive to Oklahoma. At the gas company, Dean and Sam arrive at the gas company that Dustin and Travis worked for. They find Travis and asks about their Uncle Dusty. Travis explains the situation to Dean and Sam. Sam then explains the symptoms of CJD to Travis, and Travis claims that Dustin didn't have any of them. Dean and Sam ask if Travis could tell them where the death scene was. Travis nods his head yes. At the death scene, caution tape surrounds the hole that Dustin fell in. Dean and Sam bypass the tape and then question what might have happened. Dean asks if it was a creature, yet there wasn't enough room for more than one person. Dean tells Sam to go into the hole by calling him scared. Sam ties the rope around himself and goes in. In the car, all Sam could find were some beetles, and no other evidence that anything else was in there. Sam and Dean decide they need background information. Dean notices an open house barbecue sign, so they figured that would be a good place to start. At the house and barbecue, at the door, Larry Pike introduces himself before they even get inside and assures them that the house is open to any race, religion, color, or sexual orientation, assuming that the two men were a couple. Dean answers him by saying that they are brothers and how they are looking for a house for their father. Once inside, they talk to the developer Larry about the neighborhood. Larry assures them that it is a nice, safe, clean neighborhood and then introduces his wife, Joni. Larry leaves as head of sales Linda Bloom comes over and introduces herself and goes through the same routine that Larry did. Except this time Dean plays along with a gay routine by calling Sam honey and slapping Sam's butt before he leaves to go to talk to Larry. Now on a tour of the house, Larry and Dean get talking and come across a jar with many bugs inside. Larry explains that it is his son's. Meanwhile, Sam and Linda are talking about how the houses all have steam showers, and Linda is leaning on a counter where a tarantula is crawling towards her way. Sam excuses himself and takes the spider and notices a teenager behind Linda. Sam confronts the teenager who turns out to be Larry's son, Matt. They have a chat about their bad relationships with their fathers. Larry then comes over and takes his son away to go yell at him. Sam and Dean watching from afar after they have a discussion about their father. Dean says that he doesn't remember, but Sam does because he used to always get yelled at and that Dean was the good son. Dean tried to defend their father by saying that Sam was sometimes out of line. Sam defends his case by sarcastically saying that it was the wrong choice to play soccer over learning to bow hunt. Change the subject, Dean says that he found out about a year ago another man died by a severe bee sting reaction. They make the connection that each death both included bugs. At night while driving, they discuss why the bugs would do this, as there were no signs of ghost activity. They bring up Larry's son because he does have bugs for pets. Dean tells Sam to pull over to the empty house they were at. Sam objects to squatting. Dean says he wants to try the steam shower and Sam gives in. Over at Linda's house, Linda goes into her room and turns on the television. On her bed, a bug falls on her, so she goes into the shower. In the shower, multiple spiders come out of her faucet, and she's the next victim of the bugs. In the morning at the open house, Sam tells Dean to get out of the steam shower, which he finds awesome, and explains to Dean about the murder that happened that happened last night. Back at Linda's house, police and paramedics surround the house. Sam and Dean find Larry there and pull over to question Larry. Larry tells Sam and Dean that Linda passed away last night, although they didn't know what it was. Once the police leave, Sam and Dean sneak into the house and go for the bathroom. They see spiders in the bathroom and go to question Matt. Off the school bus and at the wooded area, they find Matt at his bus stop and notice him walking the opposite direction from his house. They follow him into a wooded area. Matt gets nervous and asks if they were serial killers, to which Sam and Dean comfort him with a no. They question about his bugs and how Linda died due to spiders. Matt gets defensive because he knows that he didn't do the killings. Matt does confess that he knows something weird is happening with the insects and goes to show them an example. On the walk to where Matt was taking them, a discussion about family comes up. Sam assures Matt that things will get better in 2 years, he's 16, when he goes to college. Dean thinks that it's bad advice because the kid shouldn't leave his family. Once deeper into the woods, Matt shows Sam and Dean that many insects from earthworms to bees have all been congregating in the same general area. Sam points out a large dirt mound where many worms have been. Dean goes digging through and finds a skull. Outside the Department of Anthropology, Dean and Sam uncovered skeletons where they found the skulls. They decided that it was a spirit channeling through bugs. They then get into another discussion about their father. Sam felt that their father was always disappointed in him. Dean said that he wasn't disappointed but scared. They then entered the building. Inside the Department of Anthropology, they talked to a professor by lying and saying that they were part of his class. The professor states that the skeletons were about the time of the Native Americans. Sam questions and asks if there were any tribes within the vicinity. The professor says something about a Yuchi tribe about 60 miles from where they were. Around the first murder scene, a Native American is playing a game of solitaire as Sam and Dean go inside to talk to him. The man could tell Dean was a liar and Sam wasn't. The man answered any questions Sam had. The man confessed to knowing about the area of the construction site. They tell him about the Native American bones they found, so the man tells them a story that has been passed down for generations. He tells them a story of a tribe about how nature will protect that valley on the 6th night. The nature he was talking about was the bugs. They then realized it was the 6th night, so they had to get Matt and his family out of there. At Matt's house, Matt is outside looking at bugs when he comes across multiple bugs coming out from the ground. While driving on the phone with Larry and Matt, Dean tries to impersonate Travis to get Larry out of the house to no avail, as Larry knows Travis. Sam then calls Matt and tells Matt about the situation and how he has to get his family out of there. Dean takes the phone and tells him to lie in order to get them out of there. Back at Matt's house, Matt was unable to get his family out of the house because he told the truth and his father didn't believe him. After arguing, they see the whole swarm of bugs coming. It is too late to get to the car, so they will run into the house. Attempting to call for help, they find all phone lines are dead and so is the power. They seal off all openings to the house. Dean then goes to find something to fend off the bugs. He gets a flammable bug spray. They then realize they didn't seal off the fireplace and the bugs fly in. They go up to the attic and termites start eating through the wood, allowing more bugs to get in. Everyone manages to survive long enough as the sun comes up and all the bugs disperse. The next day, Larry moves out of the house and production for the other houses end due to the bones Sam and Dean found. Larry's enthused because he realizes what he didn't lose, as in his family. Sam confronts Matt one final time, and Matt throws away his bug collection. Sam and Dean reassure themselves on how they will find their father. Once they do find him, Sam wants to apologize to him for all the things he said to him. They leave for their next case. So let's take a look at some continuity surrounding this episode. Throughout the episode, there are multiple references made to the fact that Dean still thinks Sam abandoned him and their father when he left for college, and that Sam still feels second best to Dean, who chose to follow in their father's footsteps. And now let's take a look at some trivia surrounding this episode. This episode is considered to be one of the least favorites among fans. Eric Kripke himself has stated he did not like this episode. Many criticize the inconsistent ending, including a scene where a sunrise occurs in an impossible length of time. This episode, along with Red Sky at Morning, is alluded to in the monster at the end of this book, when Chuck Shirley apologizes to Sam and Dean for making them live bad riding. And Don't Call Me Shirley. God references this episode when he comments that the last time he saw such a dark look on an editor's face was when he wrote Bugs. In this episode, the Winchesters say that curses are impossible to break and that they can only just get out of the way. This statement is never again repeated with Winchesters breaking curses and Remember the Titans, which is a God curse, Love Hurts, and regarding Dean. A major plotline of season 10 is removing the Mark of Cain, which is the first curse. Enter Arlie and Anne Mary Loder, who played Larry and Joni Pike, later played Henry and Janet Whitman in Atomic Monsters. Tyler Johnston, who played Matthew Pike in this episode, later plays the role of Samandriel/Alfie in Season 8. So yeah, this is definitely my least favorite episode from Season 1 and one of my least favorite episodes of the series as a whole. So yeah. So overall, I give Bugs 1 Angel Blade out of 5. Well, anyway, tune in tomorrow as we take a look at the episode Home. So, until then, carry on, my wayward sons and daughters.